Hey, so today we are so lucky to have the expertise of a declutterer, an interior space therapist, and a feng shui expert. And what does that have to do with real estate? What has to do is the energy in our home is felt by, observed by everybody who comes in it, including ourselves. So we want to present our property in the best way possible. We want it to have a wide appeal. We want it to say to different people coming in, there is good energy, light, space in this property. So having the expertise of people like Suzanne Roynon is really critical. She is a very famous author. She's from England, very famous author. Welcome Home is one of her books, and she has a number of other books, Organizing for Children, a gratitude journal, which I now understand and connect. So I hope you enjoy our discussion with Suzanne. She is an expert on so many things, and I know we'll have her back again. Welcome to Real Estate Connections Podcast, where relationships open doors. I'm Mary Foerster, and housing is a universal need. We are often thinking about our existing housing, our future housing, that possibly of family members. This is where you're going to hear the issues and the people who are working the issues every day. Please hit subscribe and like if you find this podcast helpful to you. Thank you. Hello, and today we have an opportunity to talk about something that might not sound like fun, but is really important in our daily lives. And that is to declutter our world, our stuff, and to make way for energy and to make way in the cares of real estate for other people to see the potential in the home that we are selling. So today we are so blessed to have with us Suzanne Roynon, who is from Hertfordshire, England, and who actually found me in terms of, I would love to participate and speak to your audience about the energy of interior spaces. Now, we're going to try to stay connected to the concept of preparing your house for sale. However, my thinking is that we will be, as Suzanne says, wandering a little bit. Not a problem. We can continue to wander in another episode. So I would love to welcome Suzanne all the way from Hertfordshire, England. Do we say Hertfordshire or Hertfordshire?
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire. Okay.
So as in Hertfordshire, Hereford and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly happen.
And I'm recording from just north of Boston. So we are very aware of English names because all of our towns are English names. And you would feel very familiar with them, Suzanne, if you spend some time here in Massachusetts. So
I'm sure I would. And I would love to visit Massachusetts.
Oh, you must come. You must come. It's really beautiful. And I've been to your beautiful country several times and never enough. So Suzanne, you have helped many people over 20 plus years, coaching, writing, guiding people through the expertise that you have on interior spaces. And what we really would love is your take on the importance of decluttering, not only just to sell a house, but maybe even decluttering and making sure that our quality of life is really, really good. Because that's what we want, right? That's what we want from our residences, and to make sure that we're having a full life. So, Suzanne, where shall we start? Shall we start with where you started?
Oh, goodness, where I started? Well, a long time ago. It's a little bit like the beginning of Star Wars. A long time ago, I moved into a new home with my husband of a couple of years. Everything was fine. Everything was dandy. And things started to go wrong. So, you always look for reasons, don't you? Why is this happening? It wasn't just about the relationship. It was about our health, our well-being. Everything seemed to be just shattered all in one go. So I was looking for a reason for this. You don't go from being happily married in one house to, the relationship on its knees within a couple of weeks in another, do you? But actually, yes, you can. as it turns out. And I found that out the hard way. So I did lots of research back then, and that's where I got involved with Feng Shui. I started my learning of Feng Shui, my training all those years ago. And if I say to you that, well, we've been divorced for 31 years, so it is a long while ago.
Yes, I would say that you were 5 when you were married, but that's all right. That's my math. Yes, go ahead.
I'll
Keep
take
going.
that. I will take
Definitely, yes.
So anyway, in terms of learning about Feng Shui, I also discovered that clutter and the stuff we have around us has a really, really detrimental impact on our well-being. And so this goes into daily life, everybody's daily life, as much as preparing your home to sell it. And so once I got the hang of this, I started going into this in a lot more depth. And I started to notice when I worked with clients that there were certain things that turned up in houses where similar scenarios were occurring, perhaps infidelity or loneliness, perhaps celibacy, financial problems, problems with the children. The same kinds of things were rocking up in each of those houses and were being identified as clutter and therefore removed. And then things started to improve. And I just thought that that was very, very interesting. And gradually over the years, I just noticed it more and more. And that's when I decided I would write my book, which is called Welcome Home, How Stuff Makes or Breaks Your Relationship. And I put my learning into that book at just about the same time that I decided I would retrain in traditional Feng Shui, because I realized it was so much more powerful. So then combining my in-depth knowledge of how clutter destroys lives and relationships with Feng Shui became this very potent cocktail to create happier, healthier, and more successful homes. And I can, and you can too, in all honesty, once you know what you're looking for, as a realtor, as an estate agent here in the UK, you can walk into a home when you know what to look out for and spot what the problem is. So I can now look at a listing and I can say, right, this is a divorce house. These are the problems they're having here, or this is the home of a single woman. This is why. And the thing is that you will subconsciously be drawn to the kind of property that you want. So if what you're seeing is blatantly a divorce house, you don't want that for your relationship, so you'll avoid it. What I do then with my clients is I help them to understand all of those little markers, those red flags that they're flying to say, this is not a happy house, and put those right. But the beginning of everything, absolutely everything, Mary, is clutter.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? And I think about, some of the stereotypes of our great grandmother's houses with stuff everywhere, tchotchkes and lace doilies and it just makes me feel kind of kind of smothered. It's so much stuff. And yet we're surrounded by stuff. We go to the fair, we come back with the toy. We think, oh, we don't want that sale to go by without our being there. We need to get that item from the sale. And so we start kind of, I guess, filling the energy up with the things. But you're talking about something really big, which I think is really the subconscious decision, the subconscious power, the power to fill your space. And so what I'm hearing you saying is, if you want a different energy in your world, what is essential is to declutter your world. That's as a first step. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. But clutter is not just discarded magazines and the clothes that you don't wear anymore and all of those takeout pots that
What
have
is
somehow
clutter?
managed to. Clutter is it's anything that you don't use you don't need, and you don't
Mm.
love. So let's think about some of the things that you might find around a home. If somebody's been married for 20 years, say, and it's now time to downsize or upsize, depending on what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking around and you're thinking, is this now of any use to me? Is this representing the person I am? And for so many people, especially in larger houses, they keep things just for the sake of it or just in case
Mm-hmm.
they
Just in
might
case.
need it. And we've also got, especially here in the UK, in the generation beyond mine, so my parents' generation, who were born during the Second World War or in the immediate aftermath,
Mm-hmm.
we have this make, do, and mend scenario. So you would not throw away a piece of wood
Right.
that you might be able to use to fix something. And these get stacked up in the garage. You wouldn't throw away a plastic pot with a lid because that might come in handy at
Mm-hmm.
some point. And you see, this is how then clutter starts to grow until suddenly you've got a garage which is so full of things that might be used at some indefined point, at some level in the future.
It's
But you
scarcity.
can't,
Yeah,
it's the lack mentality,
it's
total
the lack
scarcity.
mentality.
But the fact is, your Tesla is on the drive. You know, your $60,000 car is on the
Right.
drive.
Mm-hmm.
But what you've got in your garage, where you could be protecting your car, is a load of old boxes.
It's so
But
true. In this
it
neighborhood,
is.
we're the only people that use our garage. And it's
It's
an
incredible.
enormous garage, but we're the only people. Everybody else has their cars, and we have had a lot of snow, as I was telling you the other day.
Mm-hmm.
We had 5 inches yesterday, and so we have so much snow. But people have their garages filled with stuff they don't use.
Yeah. And there's no value to
No
them
value.
in keeping that. But if then subsequently that they want to put their home on the market, it's an absolutely huge job then
Mm-hmm.
to work out what you're taking to the new place. People will buy a new home
Mm-hmm.
just to store their stuff because they don't think their current home is big enough for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you might have a 6-bedroom home, but everywhere is clutter and bits of furniture and clothes. Whereas actually, if they went through that home systematically, room by room,
Mm-hmm.
looking at every single thing they own and identifying whether it has a use, whether they love it, whether they need it,
Mm-hmm.
they might well
And
find they
really need
don't need
it.
to move at all. Yeah.
Yeah, what is need? I will use it within the next year or 6 months, or what is
Well,
need?
so love it. Well, obviously, love it, love it. Use it might be a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Need it. It's the kettle, the tea kettle, for example. You know, it might not be something that you totally adore, but you need your tea kettle. You need your pans. You might need your coffee maker, your toasting oven. Those things.
Right.
The hairbrush. These are the things you need, but they're kind of across the board things that you need.
Right. Right.
The things you use, you might not love your uniform if you work in a uniform, but you still need
You
and
have
use
to
it.
have it. That's right. Exactly. You need it. Excellent. Oh, good.
But
Okay.
then you might have been given gifts, for example,
Mm-hmm.
that you never really appreciated when you got them, but you still keep them because you feel an obligation to keep them. Have I got a moment to explain the 5 reasons that people keep stuff?
Mm-hmm. You sure do.
And so the first one is habit. You know, it's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got room for it. Why would I let it go? I don't need to think about it now. You know, fear, which comes into the scarcity. You know, oh my goodness, I might never be able to get one of these again. Well, I think in the main, we can get those things again if we really, really need a pencil eraser. We can get rid of one of the 16 that we have in a drawer.
Yes.
You know, so a bit fear, guilt. Somebody gave it to me. I
It was
feel an
my
obligation
mother's.
to keep it. It
Right.
was my mother's.
It was my mother's.
Even if you don't like it,
Mhm.
you think, oh, I must keep this.
Mhm.
One of those things, for example, might be old family photographs. And you look at them, you don't know who those people are,
Right.
but you're afraid to get rid of them because they were family photographs.
Mhm.
So those are three of the reasons. The really nasty reason is spite. So that's when you keep something to prevent somebody else from having it.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really bad reason to hold on to anything, because that item in your home is just going to be exuding negative energy, because when you look at it, you're feeling, you're thinking, oh, I've got revenge on them. They wanted that piece of furniture and I kept it because I knew they wanted it. That's just such bad news.
Yes.
Habit, fear, guilt, confusion is the last one. Oh, I don't know what to do about it.
Oh, yes.
So I'll let it procrastinate here. Clutter is procrastination. Some people will move possessions, say, from inside the house to a damp garden building. And that's kind of decluttering by destruction, because once it gets out there, it will get damp and moldy and you will never use it again. So then you don't feel so bad about getting rid of it. I say, let's get rid of the stuff while it can still potentially have a use to somebody else.
Yes.
It can be recycled, upcycled, donated, gifted. Your horrible vase might be admired by a friend who would really, really love it while you loathe it.
Yes.
Give it to them. Give yourself some extra brownie points and get the horrible thing out of your house.
Around here, people have dishware sets, china, really, really good china that, 30, 40 years ago, you paid $400 or $500 a place setting. Now you can get a place setting. You can get 12 place settings for $200 of Wedgwood or some magnificent thing. And so
they're amazing, but you've got to use them.
You've got to use them.
What's the point of having an incredible set of dishware?
Yes.
If all it does is sit in a cupboard.
Yes.
Use the stuff. Even if you only use it at Christmas and on birthdays, use it. But if actually you look at that cupboard and you realize that door has not opened for 5 or 6 years, let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Especially, if you are on the more mature side of life, at some point in the not horribly distant future, somebody's going to have to come along and deal with your belongings, your stuff.
So we have this Swedish system now, end of life. Is that
Swedish death cleaning? I think that's a very, very interesting concept.
Yes.
I've just been doing it with one of my clients in the run up to Christmas. It took us quite a long time because every single possession had to be explained to me, had to be justified.
Oh, yes.
And in the end, she managed to release about half of her possessions. She's happily in her new home and she's not missed any of them. And in fact, what she's saying to me is, oh, it probably would have been better if we'd done what you said and got rid of 2/3 of it, because she's still sorting through her stuff. She now wants to finish it on her own. She's 85, but she's very, very determined. And she's, convinced that she's going to do all of this. Well, to be perfectly honest, I think she'll probably not finish sorting it out.
Yes.
But she's one up on the lady next door to her who moved into her place 2 years ago and still has a room full of unopened boxes.
Oh, yes. So, Suzanne, you've worked with a number of estate agents, what we call them realtors or real estate agents here in the States. And what is your best contribution to working with real estate professionals, helping them with their clients?
Well, I think helping them understand how to gentle their clients into
nice word.
presenting their properties more effectively. Now, in the States, you do a lot with home staging, especially with larger properties. that's really not taken off here in the UK. So what we have to acknowledge is that many homes are still being lived in. So you might be doing an open day, but this morning everybody was having breakfast in the kitchen, and the dog was slopping water all over the floor, and nobody quite got around to vacuuming the stairs, you know? So what I'm teaching real estate agents occasionally, but also my clients directly, is that once you've streamlined your space, you can get an entire property in presentable condition in less than 30 minutes, even if you are living there with your 3 children, the dog and the cat.
So that'll be a standard, right? We're going to streamline enough so that on Sunday, when I go to do the open house, it's only going to take you a half hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a decent size house. A 2-bedroom apartment, for example,
easy peasy.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes and it will be looking show home ready. And so that's what I'm teaching my clients as I'm working with them, whether that's online or in person. But then with the real estate agents, I'm teaching them what to look for, and just to be able to confidently go into a home. It's very difficult for a real estate agent. You're bidding for the work, basically. You know, you are
bidding
pitching
for work,
yourself, and you're going in there. And what your client, what that person wants to hear is, oh, you've got such a lovely home. Yes, I'll sell it for you in 10 minutes.
And for double the price. That's right.
For double the price. When actually what they want to say is, your place is rampant chaos. It smells of dog and your trainers. And it's going to be an absolute mare to sell, because you've got so much stuff that nobody can actually visualize themselves living here, because they can't see beyond your mess.
Exactly.
And so what I'm teaching these agents to do is to say, look, you know, cards on the table, I would love your business, but as things stand right now, I don't think I can do justice to your home, because I don't think you are doing justice to your home. And sometimes you will lose the business.
Yes.
But more often than not, they'll say, oh, well, what do I need to do? And then that gives you the opening that, you know, you can then go in and say, right, let's do this, 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 and this. Clear your kitchen countertops completely.
Yes. I can think of one situation where you don't have to do this. And in Northern Virginia, where I spent most of my years as a realtor, there were a lot of tear downs, old houses from the 40s and the 50s that were going to be torn down and replaced with some kind of large property, right? So you could basically say to the developer, we're selling it as is, in the sense of we're walking out the door and pulling the door closed. And those are the circumstances. So there's a very rare, unusual circumstance, but it can be done. And that's the exception. But
that is absolutely the exception to the rule. If you're going to remodel.
Yeah. Homeowner, if you want top dollar for your property, here are the comps that we gathered. Here's the condition of those houses that are comparable. And this is where we're headed to make your house compete with those. And it's all visual, but I also like the reference to smell. Smell is very important.
Oh, it's so important. It's so important. I've been to one particular property in the town where I live, actually, on 5 or 6 occasions with clients. And the door opens and you are hit with this wall of trainer smell.
Trainers in the U.S. are running shoes or sneakers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So sneaker smell combined with dog.
Oh.
And I went there, the first time I took some clients there, was one of them was newly pregnant. And we opened the door. She stepped in.
Oh, yes.
She stepped out again and said, I'm so sorry. I think I'm going to be ill.
Right.
And that was the end of that viewing. We went on and looked at other places. But that property is sitting. It's been on for 6-8 months. in a highly desirable town, and it is well priced, but it is not selling because the energy, the smell, the whole feel of that house, you kind of go in there and you get this knot in your stomach and just want to get outside. Now, I would love to work with the owners of that property and really upgrade the energy in order to create a much better environment for people to walk into. But some people simply aren't open to that kind of thing. And you have to accept it. You know, at some point, somebody who just wants a property, does not care at all, will walk in there and he'll offer £100,000, you know, which is getting on for $150,000 under the asking price. And they'll be so desperate to sell that they'll take it.
Eventually that will happen. Yeah.
Eventually that will happen. Whereas actually, if they had followed my methods, if they'd chosen to come to me and follow my methods, that property would have been sold in spring of last year.
Before we talk about the specifics of what people can start doing, let's talk a little bit about storage units. It's, I can honestly say I don't think I have ever paid rent for a storage unit. And maybe that's because I've never had enough stuff, but that's not true either. Storage units in the United States, you can be in rural Nebraska and come across this temperature-controlled, elevator access building in the middle of nowhere. I'm joking. It's a little extreme. But that building in the middle of nowhere will be for storage. And I was reading some numbers that said in 22, the average monthly storage was $91. And this had to be all across the states, obviously. $91 per month.
Yeah.
That's almost $1,200
almost
a year.
$1,200 a year. Now, here in the UK, you are probably looking, well, I know that one person told me his storage unit had cost him £68,000. So nearly $90,000 over 8 years. And when he finally went and opened it at my suggestion, having worked on his home, there was nothing in it he wanted at all. $91,000 wasted on storage. Now, why might you conceivably use a storage unit? So if, for the sake of argument, you've bought a property and you are going to tear it down or you're going to massively remodel it, then it makes sense to safely store your possessions for a very finite period of time.
Yes, finite, yes.
Very finite. If you are going abroad and you are renting out your property temporarily, but you know you're going to be back in a year or so and your properties are in, your possessions are in good condition and you want to reuse them, put them in storage. But actually, if it is going to be a couple of years and you work out the value of your couch, your washing machine, all of those bits and pieces, which while they're sitting in storage are going out of guarantee, they're becoming obsolete, whatever. TVs go obsolete. My TV is losing channels almost by the week because fabulous as it is, I hardly use it. It's now sort of 8 or 10 years old. Wow. And it's now pretty much obsolete.
A different generation, yes.
Different generation. So think about how much it will cost you to replace all of that stuff and ask yourself whether actually it's worth you. Like, you know, maybe $1,200 a year, maybe it would be worth it to you. If it's going to cost you $5,000 a year over the space of 4 or 5 years, then probably it really isn't. So it's about getting the balance. But the fact is, and as you're so aware, people are getting themselves storage units because they filled all the cupboards in their home. They filled the garage and they're putting stuff in storage because they don't know what to do with it.
They're confused, they're guilty, they're afraid, you know, all your original lists, right?
Yeah,
And that's why we're
totally.
putting it in storage.
Mm-hmm. So we're wasting money, hand over fist, putting stuff into storage that is of zero use to us. I was working with a client a couple of weeks ago. They were looking for a new 5-bedroom house. And the woman said to me, we've got a house near Manchester. We've got a house in Herefordshire. We are now looking for one that we can use as a base because our daughter is buying a property near here. I think, how many houses do you actually need?
Uh-huh.
It's maybe an hour and a half's drive to the next one. So, and she said, oh, yes, we've got 4 or 5 storage units. And I said, but why? And she looked at me as though I was mad.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, for all our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's in storage. You're not using it. And it's just like they gathered all of this stuff in, and they were somewhat older, into their 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that little bit of, the lack mentality. Oh, we've got
Yes.
this now and we want to hold on to it.
Yes.
But then the daughter had said, well, Mum and Dad, we went to that storage unit and there's nothing in there I want.
Yes. And we have storage unit wars here where people go and bid on the contents. And it's kind of like, it's a surprise. It's like a Cracker Jack box, I'm going to bid 300, I'm going to bid 400. And then you open it up and there's a Ferrari inside, or there's grandmother's lace curtains,
Yeah. Or there's, somebody's paste jewelry and
Yes, paste jewelry. That's right.
six empty cardboard boxes.
Those things of China.
Mm.
So, Suzanne, how can people begin?
Stuff, your closet, your drawers, your personal possessions that are very special to you. But really look at every single one of those items. Now, in wardrobes, people tend to find that they wear 20% of their stuff 80% of the time. But in those wardrobes will also be things that no longer fit, that even if it did fit, they will never wear again. Ladies, that dress you're keeping for when you were 18 that you're planning to diet back into, if you're now in your 40s, that is not going to suit you. I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to work for you. Anything that needs a repair that you've never got around to repairing, people just don't do that anymore, do they?
No, they don't.
No, those one-off items, the dress that you bought to wear to a wedding 6 years ago, which you're looking at and you paid such a lot of money for, but you'll never wear it again. Let's let all of those things go. Now, I always think that this is like flexing your decluttering muscles, because you can go from having a wardrobe that is so crammed that the coat hangers are bending to having a space where you look in there and you like wearing every single thing and it suits you and it fits. So anything you take out of there is going to be a good bet for you.
Right.
You do the same with your underwear drawers, your fitness stuff, all of those things. And suddenly, getting up in the morning, getting dressed is so much easier. It is transformed from clutter chaos into, oh, this feels good. You save yourself 10 minutes in the morning just because you can immediately lay your hands on the blouse and pants that you want to wear that day. And you also know that the shoes that go with it are in good condition and are right there waiting for you. So that's where I always start. I start off with the wardrobe, but then taking that knowledge, that understanding of how things make you feel when you touch them, take that then elsewhere in the house and deal with anything that is your property.
Okay.
So a wise woman will never deal with the possessions of a partner or any child over 10 years old.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
However, there is a perk to all of this, which is that when those husbands, children, whatever, see your life going so much more smoothly and everything being so much easier for you, then they'll come to you and they'll say, oh, honey, will you help me do my wardrobe? And then you get to say, oh, yes, let's get rid of this awful shirt.
Oh, I tell you, I'm cringing. We have one child, and should we die soon, my spouse has a basement filled with stuff and an upper level filled with stuff, and I keep thinking of that Swedish death, cluttering, decluttering.
Well, bear in mind that the stuff in the upper level is all pressing down on you.
Yes, it's pressing
energetically,
down.
it's pressing down. It's weighing you down. It's affecting your health, your well-being, your opportunities. It's almost as though you're being psychologically and physically crushed.
Yes.
This is why I always encourage people, if they've got an attic, not to put anything in it at all if they can possibly avoid it, because the attic is just that's the side extension of that storage unit, really. And if you've got a crammed basement, how is that helping you?
Oh, we joke about it. We talked about it's this TRS-80. I think that was an early computer that maybe my husband built. I talk about the museum. It's going into the museum. Well, the museum is someplace downstairs, and oh my God, I joke about it. But I want to get back to the feeling. Now, some people are probably thinking, this is a little too woo-woo for me, in terms of the feeling. But I have had that experience where I have gone through a closet and a dresser and cleared things out, and it has felt so good. And it's not just that one time, it's every day. So when you talk about 10 minutes saved dressing, it is easy. It's so easy to select something. And then, of course, I know myself. So 2 years later, I'm back to crush, and those coat hangers. So the dresser I've dealt with, including all that paste jewelry we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The closet, it's ready. It's ready. It's calling. It's saying Suzanne is really right. I'm ready to let go of it.
There is just so much that we keep around us. Now, I'm preparing to move house, which is in the next couple of months. I'll be moving on. And so in another situation with somebody else, I'd normally say, well, start packing up the stuff that it might be ski gear, for example, if they've had their ski holiday. Well, let's just pack that up now. And I look around my house and I think, actually, there's nothing I can pack up right now because everything I have gets used.
Wonderful.
And that is a really powerful place to be. The thing is, once you get the hang of this, I mean, I call it interiors therapy because we're not just decluttering. We are refreshing the energy of a space. We talked last week and I said that there's that old saying from Aristotle, Aristotle says, nature abhors a vacuum. And you said to me that sometimes when you declutter, the stuff just comes back. In 6 weeks, it's all back again. Now, if you upgrade the energy of a space, so after you've done the decluttering, if you give it a lovely clean and then you upgrade the energy, you uplift it. I do a little ceremony to do that, but there are so many ways you can do it. You can do it with music or just intention. And then you develop such a low tolerance for clutter that you don't let it back in. So your wardrobe would never have got to 2 years on, Mary, because you'd open the door and you think, I'm not having that. No. What can I get rid of in here? What can I send to the thrift shop? What can I give to somebody else? What can I downgrade?
Excellent.
What can I let go? And this is the thing, when you get to your zero tolerance for clutter, then suddenly life is so much easier. But the other interesting thing is that when you make space in your life, better things can come into it. If your life is so clogged with clutter and with that whole incredible pressure on you that clutter does, you have got no room for new opportunities. If you're looking for a new job, if you're looking for a new home, if you're looking for a new partner, but there is no room for that positive new energy to come into your life.
Exactly.
Forget it.
Exactly. exactly. A couple of things come to mind. Around in our area, and probably not unique to our area, 3 times a year, there's something called junk in the trunk. And that's when you fill your car up with stuff that you don't want anymore. You don't want to throw it into the trash.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't want to go to the bother of putting it on a marketplace or some exchange bulletin board. And so you fill your car up with it, and then you drive into the school parking lot and you get 2 spaces, your car and the space right behind it. And you open your trunk and you display everything. In an hour and a half, people just take it. Just take the stuff. And what doesn't get taken is put into a truck, and that truck is a part of a nonprofit group, and
Mm-hmm.
and they take the leftovers that you don't want anymore.
What a
So,
relief.
yes, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
Of
That kind of
course.
thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing, in this state, in Massachusetts, we cannot throw away fabric.
Interesting.
All fabric, because it doesn't degrade very
No.
well, and it can be recycled successfully. So in this state, you have to recycle fabric,
Mm-hmm.
and which is great, because if the sheets are old or they're torn, or whatever, if it's not really usable again, they will actually do what you need to do to get rid of it. But then, if the clothes are usable, then again, there are many places that will take usable clothing.
Yeah. There really
So
are.
there really
Goodwill,
are.
thrift, homeless shelters,
Yes.
places for women escaping domestic violence.
Yes.
For those of you who have cupboards full of toiletries that you've been gifted, or you've got on airplanes, or you've picked up in hotels, you're not going to use them. They are
Right.
not the ones that you use.
Mhm.
But a shelter for displaced women and families will be so welcoming of those things. I aim to send as little to trash as possible. I'll always go, can you recycle it? Can you donate it? Can you reuse it in some way? Can you gift it?
Yes.
So
Yes,
it's
exactly.
really a last resort to send anything to trash. I'm not a fan of landfill. I don't necessarily, probably incineration is better than landfill if the incineration is being used to good effect, like,
Mhm.
thawing
Warming
frozen
something.
roads, for example.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But
Wow.
yeah, we try not to trash anything. And I think when you get the hang of that, when you get the hang of living without the pressure of all the unnecessary stuff, and how much easier it is to keep your house clean, how much simpler it is to get out, to go on holiday, to find your insurance documents or your passport or that particular shirt that you want to wear.
Mm-hmm.
I can go into my drawers with blindfolded if necessary. Not that blindfolds are often de rigueur here, but I can turn off the lights and I can go and I can get exactly the shirt I want out of the drawer. I know it'll
what's
be the
there.
color I want. I know where I can find everything else I need to get dressed in the dark without waking up my partner. And I will still look
Amazing.
fabulous when I go out.
Of course, you'll look fabulous. So, Suzanne, believe it or not, we have talked for a little while. I told Suzanne we record about a half an hour. We're beyond that at this point in time, and we haven't covered a whole heck of a lot. And let's put in the show notes your book. Is the Welcome Home book kind of a beginning guide to decluttering?
It is. It's a beginning of interiors therapy. So it goes way beyond just
Good.
decluttering. If you just want decluttering, don't buy my book. If you want to really get into it, if you want to learn how to never choose to have clutter in your house again, that's the book to get. And it's called Welcome Home, How Stuff Makes or Breaks Your
Welcome Home.
Relationship.
And I urge you to take a look at Suzanne's website. She offers a number of services, and I'm thinking about Feng Shui. And we need to talk about Feng Shui in a future episode, if you don't mind, Suzanne.
Of course, I'd love to.
I have a little knowledge, and that little knowledge put into action really made my world different. So now I want to hear more knowledge, right? And you are the queen. You are definitely the queen.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very, very much. And thank you for joining us today. And Suzanne promised me we can talk about anything. And you were right. We can talk about anything. But I am inspired because we want That's the goal of this podcast, to provide information, to inspire people to take action, and to collaborate with professionals out there who are already doing it. You're collaborating with estate agents, with all kinds of people to help a better quality of life. And that's perfect.
My
But thank
absolute
you.
pleasure, Mary. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for having
so
me.
very much. Bye-bye, Suzanne.
Bye now.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you found this conversation useful to you and your real estate goals. You'll find the contact information for our guests and any links they recommend you have in the show notes. And should we be able to help you identify some strong real estate professionals in your area, drop us a note at info@realestateconnectionspodcast.com. Thanks again, and bye for now.